Welcome to this in-service tutorial for Airon Corporation's Newton Mini Ventilator. The Newton Mini Ventilator is a new approach to neonatal, infant, and pediatric ventilator support and accommodates even the most fragile patients from 400 grams to 25 kilograms. For your referring hospital or labor and delivery, the Newton Mini is built to support a newborn's first troubled breath in the delivery room and to optimize life support for transport and ventilation needs, short or long term. The Mini is ideal for use in the NICU, pediatric ICU, labor and delivery, MRI, post-anesthesia, ER, inter- and intra-hospital transport, or transport via air or ground. 6 unique advantages of the Newton Mini include fully pneumatic operation, meaning the device runs strictly on high-flow gas source, both oxygen and medical air, and requires no electricity or batteries for operation. 2 support modes, non-invasive respiratory support using nasal prongs or masks for CPAP application, and full ventilation IMV plus CPAP with endotracheal tube. MRI compatibility with no Gauss line restrictions. The ventilator can be placed right next to the MRI magnet with a remote alarm for enhanced patient safety. A built-in oxygen blender and precise timing and pressure controls to match the complexity of pressure-limited ventilation found in standard infant ventilators. A wide range of continuous flow settings to provide the right ventilation for the size of your patient with the least amount of expiratory flow resistance. Compatibility with the Life Pulse high-frequency ventilator from Bonnell Incorporated, providing conventional ventilation in tandem with the Life Plus without interfering with high-frequency ventilation or nuisance alarms. As a portable ventilator, the Newton Mini can help improve the care, comfort, and safety of your patient. Minimizing the stress of transferring from one ventilator to another, perhaps multiple times, the Newton Mini can provide seamless ventilation during multiple procedures, MRI, and throughout hospital transport. Let's begin our product in-service at the Mini's side panel and look at its features and controls. You'll note that with the Newton Mini, all the connections for patient circuit and blended gas are found on the left side panel of the device. Let's take a look at the gas input connection, patient circuit connections, audible alarm feature, and the remote alarm capability. Driving gas input connections. The first item we will look at on the side panel is the driving gas input connection. Keep in mind the Newton Mini does not require electricity or batteries. Instead, the device requires high-flow oxygen and compressed air sources of 55 psi with a minimum flow rate of 25 liters per minute. Always ensure that the gas supply line is secure and operating at the proper pressure. The gas source must be able to maintain the required pressure delivery with flow up to 25 liters per minute available to the patient. If the driving gas pressure decreases below the required pressure due to flow demand, the low gas supply alarm will activate. Note that when the gas is first connected and flowing, the ventilator will alarm. This is normal. The ventilator will begin to function at the preset values. Patient connection. To the right of the gas input connections is the patient connection, with proximal pressure noted as prox pressure, and an expiratory or EXP valve fitting which accommodates the patient breathing circuit. The patient circuit is a dual limb system. The inspiratory limb of the patient circuit is attached to the patient connection port with a 22 mm connector. The small tubing, 3 mm, connects the expiratory valve to the expiratory valve barb connection. The small blue tubing, 4 mm, connects the proximal patient port of the circuit to the blue proximal pressure barb connection. Audible alarm. The audible alarm for the Newton Mini can be identified by 6 small holes where the alert sound is emitted. Please be sure to never put anything in these holes or cover them up, otherwise the alarm will not be audible. This is what the alarm sounds like. The alarm will sound when there is a patient disconnect, high pressure alarm, or the source gas, oxygen, or air pressure drops below 40 psi. Remote alarm output. The next feature to note is the BNC fitting for an optional remote control alarm. This remote alarm fitting will only work with Airon-supplied remote alarm cables. The remote alarm is ideal for use with an MRI transport because it allows the Newton Mini to be next to the MRI magnet and an alarm box to be placed in or near the control room, making the alarm audible even while the MRI is running and your patient may not be visible from within the magnet. This provides added safety for your patient and peace of mind for you, the healthcare provider. Let's now review the front panel of the Newton Mini. The Newton Mini was designed specifically to support the challenges and demands of a wide range of patients, from 400 grams up to 25 kilograms or 50 pounds, and offers many unique controls and features with added advantages. First, let's review the 5 control parameters related to patient respiratory support: PEEP CPAP, peak pressure, continuous flow, inspiratory time, and expiratory time. PEEP CPAP control. Let's start at the upper left side with the control that provides both PEEP and CPAP. When the device is set for ventilation mode, PEEP will provide the baseline pressure. When not in ventilation mode, it supports CPAP for spontaneous breathing. The PEEP CPAP control has a calibrated range from 0 to 20 centimeters of water and has automatic sensitivity for changing patient needs. The oxygen concentration is maintained at the set percent on the oxygen control FiO2. As you will see while using the Mini, the PEEP CPAP system is very responsive and supports the non-invasive application of CPAP with a complete range of nasal prongs and masks. Peak pressure control. To the right of the PEEP CPAP control is the PINSP, or peak pressure control for each breath. The inspiratory breath airway pressure can be limited from 15 to 60 centimeters of water and operates only in the IMV plus CPAP, or intermittent mandatory ventilation mode, for pressure-limited ventilation. As a helpful feature of the Mini, the set peak pressure will be visible on the pressure manometer as a visual indicator of pressure delivery for the inspiratory time you desire, and then it will drop to your set PEEP level. Continuous flow control. Moving to the right one more time is the VINSP, or continuous flow control. One of the key advantages of the Mini over many other portable neonatal ventilators is the Mini offers 5 flow settings. The continuous flow through the patient circuit can be set for 6, 8, 10, 15, and 20 liters per minute, which allows you to support a wide range of patients with varying needs. Continuous flow selection is a dependent factor on patient weight for neonatal, infant, and pediatric. Please always use your institution's protocols. When you set a specific flow, you will feel the control knob click into place. The ventilator will only deliver flow when the control is set and clicked into one of the 5 flow rate settings. Inspiratory time control. In the bottom left corner is the I-time, or inspiratory time control. This control sets the inspiratory time of mandatory breaths from 0.25 to 2 seconds and operates only in the IMV plus CPAP mode and can be used to manage tidal volume delivery. The longer the set time, the higher the tidal volume. When the set peak pressure level is reached, the continuous flow through the patient's circuit will be released through the expiratory valve. Expiratory time control. Right next to the I-time control is the E-time control, or exhalation time control. This control sets the expiratory time of mandatory breaths from 0.25 to 20 seconds, and like the I-time control, operates only in the IMV plus CPAP mode. For patient ventilation using the IMV plus CPAP mode, the ventilator provides a respiratory rate, or breaths per minute. First, set the inspiratory time, TI, to an appropriate level for the patient. Then adjust the expiratory time, TE, control to achieve the desired mandatory breath frequency. The patient may breathe spontaneously between ventilator breaths as desired. For reference, there are 2 charts on the top of the ventilator. One chart shows the maximum tidal volume based on the inspiratory time and the continuous flow. With pressure-limited ventilation, the delivered tidal volumes will be lower. When setting the E time, refer to the respiratory rate chart to estimate the delivery breaths per minute calculated from the I time and the E time controls. Next, let's move to the right-hand side of the front panel to discuss oxygen control, FiO2%, audible visual alarms, high patient pressure alarm, P alarm, and the mode selector. Oxygen control. The Newton mini ventilator uses a sophisticated oxygen blender to mix oxygen and air for delivery to the patient. This blender requires both compressed oxygen and medical-grade air for proper operation. The oxygen control, FiO2, sets the level of oxygen delivered to the patient. The calibrated range is 21% to 100% oxygen, plus or minus 3%. The ventilator uses an internal oxygen air mixing system, which provides the continuous flow into the patient circuit. Mandatory and spontaneous breaths are at the set oxygen percentage. Audible visual alarms. Next to the oxygen control are the features for the audible and visual alarms, the alarm visual indicator and alarm reset silence button. The ventilator automatically monitors patient pressure at all times. An advantage of the Newton Mini's alarm system is that if there's ever a ventilator alarm, for whatever reason, a disconnection in the patient circuit, a crimp in a patient circuit tube, or circuit pressure drops to less than 3 centimeters of water, the audible alarm will sound within 10 seconds, and the visual alarm indicator will illuminate. If you push the alarm reset silence button, the alarm will remain silenced for 25 seconds, but will alarm again after those 25 seconds unless the issue is fully resolved. Note, setting the CPAP level to less than 3 centimeters of water while in the CPAP mode will cause the alarm to sound continuously. High patient pressure alarm. In the lower right corner of the front panel is the P alarm, or high patient pressure alarm. During mechanical ventilation, the high pressure alarm will provide an audible and visual alarm when pressure reaches the control set level from 10 to 70 centimeters of water. The control is set independently of the peak pressure control. If it is set less than the peak pressure control and patient pressure reaches the high pressure alarm level, it will alarm at every breath. Selection for the high pressure alarm setting should be based on your institution's protocols. Let's now move to the top right of the Newton Mini's display panel. Mode selector. The mode selector toggle switch activates the mandatory breath delivery when placed in the IMV plus CPAP selection. The ventilator operates with CMV, continuous mechanical ventilation, IMV, intermittent mandatory ventilation, with the mode selector in IMV plus CPAP position, and CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure, with the mode switch selected for CPAP. The PEEP CPAP control can be set for baseline pressure for ventilation modes, with or without PEEP. The CPAP mode provides continuous flow based on the selection of the continuous flow control and CPAP pressure for spontaneous breathing patients. The Newton Mini can deliver non-invasive CPAP with nasal prongs available in 7 sizes or a nasal mask available in 4 sizes. Manometer pressure gauge. The Newton Mini manometer, or pressure gauge, represents proximal pressure in the patient circuit measured at the patient Y. The pressure gauge provides a visual indicator of patient pressure for the CPAP PEEP and the delivered airway pressure for each breath. The alarm system uses the proximal patient pressure signal. It is in line with the pressure gauge, so the measured pressure shown on the pressure gauge is the same as the alarm system pressure trigger. The proximal pressure line to the patient Y is constantly flushed by a very small flow of oxygen to maintain patency for accuracy in monitoring. One last step. Prior to clinical application of the Newton Mini ventilator, an operational verification procedure, or OVP, should be performed to validate the device's performance to specifications. The operational verification will measure the ventilation parameters, peak pressure with return to CPAP PEEP baseline, respiratory rate, oxygen percentage, and the alarm system features. For further information, please refer to the User Manual, Section 4, Operating Instructions. Now let's turn our attention to the Newton Mini's circuits. The patient circuits designed for use with the Newton Mini ventilator are neonatal to infant patients, 10 millimeters internal diameter, recommended for use at 6 or 8 liters per minute flow setting. Infant to pediatric patients, 15 millimeters internal diameter for use at 8, 10, 15, or 20 liters per minute flow setting. Airon offers patient circuits in a 6-foot or an 8-foot length. The 8-foot patient circuit is particularly advantageous in an MRI setting. You will note that the proximal pressure line is a 4 millimeter small blue tubing and will connect to the prox pressure barb connector, which is outlined with a blue circle. The proximal pressure line allows for the measurement and display of airway pressure at the patient circuit Y to enhance patient safety and monitoring of delivered pressure during ventilation. The proximal pressure line is easily distinguished from the expiratory valve tubing in color and size. The expiratory valve tubing is a shorter 3 millimeter clear tubing. This tubing is permanently attached to the patient circuit expiratory valve on one end and will connect to the expiratory EXP valve barb connection on the other end. A clinical reminder, if your patient requires 10 liters per minute or more continuous flow to meet spontaneous flow demand, the use of a pediatric circuit can minimize expiratory flow resistance. Please note, only Airon manufactured patient breathing circuits are approved for use with the Newton Mini ventilator. All Airon circuits are identified with FDA-cleared labeling. The Mini is calibrated specifically to the Airon patient breathing circuit and the exhalation valve, and the use of any other patient circuit may cause PEEP CPAP and peak pressures to be inaccurate, higher inspiratory work of breathing during spontaneous breaths, higher expiratory flow resistance. Our patient circuits are competitively priced. The use of unauthorized circuits increases your liability and may put patients at risk. For a non-invasive application for nasal CPAP or non-invasive ventilation (NIV), Airon offers a complete line of nasal masks and nasal prongs. The MiniFlow patient interface is a flexible tubing to stabilize prong or mask placement while allowing infant position change and movement. MiniFlow simply connects to the inspiratory and expiratory tubes of the Mini's patient circuit in exchange of the patient Y. Proximal pressure monitoring displays the patient pressure on the Newton Mini and allows for disconnect and high-pressure alarms. MiniFlow startup kits are designed for single patient use and include the MiniFlow interface and several sizes of nasal prongs and masks with bonnets. Thank you for your time today. This concludes our Newton Mini ventilator in-service tutorial.